Well, welcome back once again. We're in the final stages of this power supply build. This little wire and connector that hooks to the voltage regulator down there is just too short. I don't like that. It's too short. So I contacted a friend of mine. He has a bunch of old computer parts he has laying around all over the place, and he gave me a nice long one that's about twice the length of this one. So, I told you earlier, sometimes a mistake is going to be made and you have to work around it. Well, this is the workaround for this wire and connector that's too short. We're going to get rid of it. And of course, I'll keep it around. You never know when I might need it again. I also made one other change. I took the power cord out of this rubber grommet here. I decided I didn't like the idea that it was fed in there, and I moved it over here and fed it into the one next to the fuse holder. I like that a little better. And, it doesn't exactly go along with the way I had things planned, but it's a workaround. I like it better thus far. We're getting down to the nitty-gritty, and now it's the adjustment phase. I have my new longer wire on there with the connector that goes to the voltage regulator. And the problem I'm having right now is half of the power cord, it's just not flexible enough. It won't bend down out of the way I want it to go. So I'm going to whack that baby off. I'm going to replace it with this thinner wire here. This wire here is rated at 300 volts. Won't be a problem. It'll be much thinner, much more flexible. So I'm just going to whack that baby right there. I'm going to splice this wire onto it with some heat shrink. Much better all the way around. But we have to file here, file there to make sure things fit with the Dremel tool. I'm having to take this little edge down a little further and this one a little further down just to make sure everything fits down in there. And it can be a headache. It's the final finessing of this thing. And but we don't worry about such things. We worry about nothing. This is the fun part. So what if it takes a little time to work on this corner or that corner? Like for instance, this fuse holder, I should have put it a little bit lower. I put it just a tad too high. I should have put it down, I should have put it all the way to the bottom and shoved it all the way to the right, all the way over here in the right hand corner as far as it would go. But I didn't do it. So it caused a problem where it was hitting part of the board, and I had to file it away with the moto tool. That's this edge right here. I took the old moto tool and ground it away a little bit so it would clear the back part of the fuse holder. But we don't worry about such things. Whenever we have any problems like that, we just reach up and grab some of our old Nestle snow caps. Keep them handy. Keep them handy. I'll tell you what, this dark chocolate here, good for the prostate. You know what I'm saying? Just throw you a bunch of them in your old yap. Chew them up and feel like a new man. In more ways than one, if you know what I'm talking about. Well, that's it. We've got the board in. All the wires are hooked up underneath. All I have to do now is take the transformer wires and hook them up to these 3 different terminals. Do that, and we're done. We can set the lid back on it and stick it on the bench and test it out. Incidentally, there's a couple of screws you'll see on here, and there's one over here on this side. What they are is underneath I wanted to get the wires out of the way from the center and up against the sides of the box. So I used these wire clamps and screws and washers. Just wrap it around the wire on the inside like so. And squeeze them together, and then I can run a screw through the clamp like so, and then clamp it to the wall. It gets the wire out of the way. It keeps the wires, the primary power wires that is, around the outside edge, giving the room for the other wires that I needed to hook up for the connector. And those wires are actually fairly thick. They take up quite a bit of room in there. But anyway, this is pretty stiff right now. It looks real good. It's got heat shrink on it, and I shrunk it down. I don't know. Hopefully it'll last. Well, that's it, folks. I've got the power supply all hooked up by gator wires. There's a ton of them, aren't there? Used almost every one I had. It looks more complicated than it actually is. I just took the power transformer connections and connected them where they go inside the box with gator wires. That's all. And then some of the other gator wires just go to the two multimeters that I'm monitoring: B plus on the left and the filament voltage on the right. Kind of interesting, on the left 93.8 volts for B plus. That Zener diode I put in there was supposed to be a 91.7, but of course the meter's not calibrated, so maybe off 1 or 2 volts. That's just a 2 volt difference there, really. Next time you see this radio, it should be back in the chassis. The power supply lid should be back on with everything soldered up. And the little connectors worked real well. I'll be connecting this wire, soldering it up where these gator wires are going right now. And that's about it. I hope to have everything back, and we're supposed to be inside the cabinet, the speaker cloth, the knobs and the faceplate and all that stuff. But we'll hopefully finish all of it up in the next video, wrap up the entire series. Until then, this is John. Still need a 4A 6 tube. That little garble is a real problem.